Ready? Okay, I'd like to call the regular board meeting of the Zion Park District dated September 16th to order. September 16th, 2021 to order. Eric, can you do the roll call?
Commissioner Pye?
Here.
Commissioner Brown? Commissioner Hartman?
Here.
Commissioner Rivers?
Here.
President McGarrett?
Here. Can we stand for the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we are on to item number 2, the approval of minutes. I will entertain a motion for the approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the Personnel and Finance Subcommittee and the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Zion Park District dated August 19th, 2021.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion needed? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Hi, Mike.
Aye.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thanks for coming. We'll be talking to you in a few minutes.
Appreciate it.
All right. The agenda. Are there going to be any changes to the agenda this evening? No. Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as stated.
I'll second it.
Any discussion needed? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Comments, commissioners' comments. Do we have any of those this evening?
Yeah, I do. Okay, I'd like to send the congratulations to your pool staff for another outstanding year. It's kind of hard to understand what lifeguards go through. They think they're just there to babysit, and that's not what they're there for. And to have 0 accidents or even anything to happen is just for the amount of kids that go there. So again, thank your staff. Another successful year, and I know that they passed the audit, which they show up and you don't even know they're there, and next thing you know, the guy comes up at the end and tells you, by the way, you passed. And so again, congratulations to your staff. That was a great year again.
Thank you. Yes. Anybody else? Jesse, you have something?
I attended the the golf. That was totally different. Driving was the hardest part. I couldn't see nothing. I'm like, next time I'm going to use a flashlight for the car.
It was really fun though.
Was it
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we
Yeah.
had to try it. It was really fun.
I can't wait till they do it again.
Was it weather was good?
Yeah, the weather was good, but man, it was dark. Even though it was a full moon, driving the cart was really the hardest part.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, if we don't crash into anything, that's going to be a win.
Yeah, but
Blowing the dark balls were awesome. You
yeah,
could see in the next fairway next to you the ball going.
yeah,
So that was
That's
really
cool. Is that the glow ball?
Yeah.
That's something.
yeah. I hope
was
they
very
do
fun.
it again
Yeah, I hope
next
they do.
year.
It
They
was
just
fun.
need to get the GPS on the balls, and then they'll be
Yeah,
good.
right.
Yeah, the woods would be glowing if I was playing.
All right. Moving on to our reports. Is there anything from the attorneys?
No.
Okay. Moving on to item number 7, the treasurer's report. I will entertain a motion for the unpaid and paid bills.
I'll make a
month of August.
I'll make a motion for the total unpaid bills of $66,607.81 for a total paid bills of $245,956.83 for a grand total of $312,564.64.
I second that.
Any further discussion needed? Eric, can you do roll call, please?
Commissioner Rivers? Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Commissioner Pye?
Aye.
Commissioner Hartman?
Aye.
President McGrath?
Aye. Okay, moving on to number 8. Mike, you're going to present our audit.
If it's all the same, is it okay if I stand at the corner here? I sit enough during the day. So yeah, my name is Mike Dowie. I'm a manager with Lauterbach and Amon. I was not personally on the audit this year, but as you can tell with our camaraderie, I had the privilege of working with Eric and the team in the past. I also worked next door at the library for a while as well, so I think they started to see how much I enjoyed coming up here, so they started taking me off everything before I jumped ship. So as I mentioned before, Courtney's out of town, the regular manager on the audit, so I kind of regrouped with her and the fieldwork team, and they just wanted to make sure I, expressed their appreciation for Eric and the team and just having another smooth audit for the year. Obviously, we had some fun IT-related issues, to say the least. So we're still kind of picking up the pieces and the snowball effect that had. So we appreciate all of our clients' flexibility in working with us on that. So again, audit went great, very smooth. If it didn't, I wouldn't be here. So someone else that gets paid more than me would be here. But so yeah, great audit. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. I'll kind of touch base on a couple pages as we go through. If you have questions, please feel free to stop me. I'll open it up for questions at the end. And of course, after tonight, if you guys have time to look at it more thoroughly, please feel free to reach out to Eric, and we'll follow up on any questions I can answer for you tonight. So first, we're going to start with the management letter. If you guys aren't familiar, the smaller packet you got are management letter comments. I like to just kind of say they are not needed to be posted to the public. For lack of a better term, it's important information that we think the board needs to be aware of, but they're not exactly audit deficiencies or anything that winds up in the report itself. So management letter comments, the first one, GASB 87. This is just a catch-all new GASB pronouncement that's coming down the tube in a couple years. And so every single client, we're just putting this GASB 87. Basically, clients that have large volume or high dollar amount leases, these GASB 87 pronouncements would kind of affect that in the future. Not saying it's going to affect the Park District necessarily. Again, it's just for anytime there's a large audit standard or accounting standard, we like to put things on here just to give the board a heads up. So, and of course, if it did affect the Park District, we'd work with you guys, make sure that everything's presented accordingly. Next page here. These two are great. Outstanding check write-off and capital asset policy. Both of them were implemented and not going to be on the management letters going forward. I want to make sure I stop and stress how great this is. We have clients that we've worked with for 10 years and give the same management letter comments to year after year. And either the client doesn't care, the board's not interested in it. So to have clients that we issue these type of comments to and then they take the time and energy to consider the policies, implement them, put them in place, it's just a testament to the board, but to the client as a whole, making sure our recommendations are being taken seriously. Last but not least, the funds over budget page. Find me a Park District or client that doesn't have funds that went over budget because of COVID. We're talking $3,000, $8,000. You're the board. It's not a big deal as far as I'm concerned. So, and these are one of those black and white comments as well. We have clients that go $500 over, and they have to get the comments. So, as far as I'm concerned, no management letter comments for the Park District then. So, jumping into the audit, may keep this fairly short and high level then. Once we get past the table of contents, then the principal officials on page, where is it? Page 11, we get to the independent auditor's report. This is just essentially a letter stating that we've completed the audit and we've issued what we consider an unmodified audit opinion, which is the highest level of opinion that we can issue for an audit. Immediately following the auditor's letter, we get to the MD&A section, the management discussion and analysis. We'd like to tell board members, clients, page 13 is that beginning of it. So we like to tell clients, board members, anyone who will listen, if you're going to look at any part of the audit closely, the MD&A section is a good place to do that. It's a high-level executive overview of the Park District's fiscal year without the formality of just straight financial statements. So it's a good explanation, goes into more explanation and verbiage for the finances and what took place, again, without the formality of the financial statements themselves. So following the MD&A section, we get to the basic financial statements. And I'm going to ask you to meet me on page 3132. So page 31 begins our balance sheet for our governmental funds. So these are typically the funds that you as the board would be more familiar with. We have our general, recreation, IMRF, debt service, our construction, and our non-majors, which we'll touch base on at the end of the audit. So page 31, 32 are our assets, liabilities, and fund balances. And I'm going to ask you to jump to page 35 and 36, my favorite pages of the audit. So 35 and 36 are our same funds, the governmental funds, but here we have the revenues, expenses, and change in fund balance. So here you can see our general fund. The third line from the bottom shows our general fund had an increase of $337,000 in the year. So our ending fund balance at the year is $1.3 million. Now, when we are conducting audits and working with our clients and paying attention to the ending fund balances, a lot of clients will have fund balance policies in place. You know, we want to have 3 months or X months of operating expenses in our fund balance, 3 to 6 months to 12 months, etc. So as you can see, 1.3 million in fund balance compared to almost 1.3 of annual expenditures, we're sitting right at about a year's worth of expenditures in our fund balance as well. So it's a very healthy fund balance. Typically a little bit higher, you know, some of the clients that shoot for the 3-6 month minimum. But again, it's a healthy fund balance in the general fund, but not healthy enough or high enough where you're at risk of having, you know, tax objectors knocking at your door just yet. And of course, we have our capital projects construction fund. A lot of clients that we see, their general fund kind of start to build up and get a bit higher. That's where they could kind of utilize the other funds for transferring out and alleviating some general fund balance if it does start to grow too much. So again, third line from the bottom, we can see most of our funds did have increases. IMRF and debt service had very minimal immaterial decreases to the funds. Construction fund, obviously we had a pretty large transfer in for the year. So following the statement of revenues and expenses, you can meet me on page 41. So as we were talking about before the meeting started, the Shepherd's Crook Golf Course. Here we can see our operating revenues for the year of the $1.5 million. Our expenses were only at the $1 million mark. So again, third line from the bottom, we can basically see exactly how the operating revenue over expenses resulted in that $400,000 increase of the net position for the golf course in the year. Yes, sir?
You said 45.
41. Oh, 40, yeah, page 41.
Sorry about that.
Okay, give Mike a chance to take a drink.
I'm like sweating like a pig all of a sudden. I did the whole way up here now. All of a sudden I'm sweating like a pig.
It's warm in here.
It is a little warm in here, right?
Oh, you're talking in the mask.
And in the mask, and I'm wearing a three-piece. I'm coming in shorts next time, you guys.
And
Thank you,
please
Mike.
explain the change in net position does not correlate to like a change in cash.
Yeah, so a change in that position, especially when we're talking about business-type activities, there is going to be other aspects that equate to the total net position. The total net position is going to include other items such as the capital assets, long-term liabilities, things of that nature as well. So ending net position, we're not saying we have $6.8 million sitting in the bank account by any means. Again, we can see the fund balance increased by, you know, the $400,000, which doesn't mean our cash didn't increase by that much, but the net position has a lot of other items and factors included in that balance as well, and not just cash balances. That is something that we do go back and forth quite a bit. sometimes. So following the financial statements, on page 43 begins the notes to the financial statements. We're not going to cover these in detail, but the notes to the financial statements are important information for the audit that are not required by audit standards to be presented in the financials themselves. Capital assets, long-term liabilities, debt, things of that nature that we don't see in our general fund. That's where the notes to the report writing will show that information. So I'm going to stop on just a couple pages here. You can meet me at page 56. So page 56, we can see our long-term obligations. So we can see our GO bonds that we have. Obviously, in the year, we took out the $967,000 for the GO bond 2020. And then we can see the retirements of our first two bonds there as well. So fully retired the two bonds. Our 2019 GO bond we just made regular payments on. And then we issued the new GO 2020 bond within the year. Okay, so following the notes of the financial statements, I'm going to go all the way to the back here.
Can you go back to 56?
56, okay.
What did 1.2 mean?
I'm sorry, where are you at?
1.2.
Yeah, so the 1.2, if you look at the far right column, the ending balance, so our first two items at the top, we fully paid off to zero in the year. And the 1.2 is our 2019 GO bond, has an ending balance of $242,000. And the bond we just issued in the year that we've not made a payment on. Yep, so those two get you to that 1.2 at the bottom there.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Feels good paying off $500,000 in debt, but then we took out $900 more, so.
Yeah.
So is life. All right, so page 94, we get to our non-major governmental funds. So page 94, again, we have our assets and liabilities and fund balances. So we have our SRA fund, museum fund, police protection, liability insurance, paving, lighting, audit, and working cash. And if we follow to page 96, 97, again, my favorite pages of the audit, our change in fund balance can be found in the third line from the bottom. And again, if we look at our total fund balances in comparison with our annual expenses, that's kind of where our eyes go when we're looking at the end of the audit as well. Especially for our non-major governmental funds, we can see like our SRA, we're just under a year's worth, museum just at a year, police protection 6 months, liability insurance, a quarter of a year there. And this is great because special revenue funds, non-major funds like this, are the easiest funds for clients to unintentionally build really high fund balances in them. And once we put money in these funds, they are restricted and reserved for only those purposes. So we always like to make sure clients are not building up these funds too much, and we'd rather see the general fund get bigger because we can always transfer out to these funds. Once these funds get too high, we cannot transfer out of them back to the general fund then as well. So again, I think from a Park District standpoint, you guys are exactly where we would like to see you with the fund balances. And again, this year for Park Districts, SRAs, everybody, totally up in the air. So obviously seeing the golf course go up at all is a miracle. I think a lot of other Park Districts would be very jealous of you guys having net position increases at their golf courses. But overall, again, fund balances, this is where our eyes first go to before we come to a board meeting. And very healthy fund balances, but again, none of them are at a risk of being overly inflated for their purposes. So, and that's all I've got for you tonight. Are there any questions that I can address for you? So I can go back in my air-conditioned car?
Well, before you go in your air-conditioned car, I'd like to put out, Eric, great job, and not just to you, Eric, but to the whole Park District, because, again, I've been on this board quite a while, and this is an absolute nightmare. And if you don't pass this, you're not.
It's my
gonna
job,
go-
sir.
No, I'm just
No, I know.
saying, it's-
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty rough, and,
Yeah.
you know, they go through to the last penny,
Yep.
and to come out on top that we have for the past, I don't know how many years,
Yep.
is, it's an absolute.
And the
miracle in
budgeting
itself.
process, the, you know, expensing and appropriations, everything I can't imagine.
And then, oh, by the way, we just got through a pandemic, which I don't even think we're through yet. But
Yep.
bottom line is, we're through a pandemic, and, you know, a lot of people are afraid to go out and do things, and look what our golf course does. I mean, we come out with ungodly amount of
Yeah.
money. So,
Yep.
again, Eric and the rest of the Park District, I mean, I know for a fact that there's not a person that works in this Park District that doesn't pump every day.
Yeah.
So,
That's why I don't mind driving an hour and a half up here for a quick meeting with you guys. So it's a real pleasure, and you know, the Eagle Scout side of me has always loved my local communities and everything. So you know, so much work goes on in these type of rooms that goes unappreciated. So
Yep.
it's good to see this side of it as well.
Thank you for taking the time to present.
Yeah, I didn't mean to throw the hour and a half thing out there. I don't mind. I drive a lot for work already, but it's really a pleasure. And if I get to see you guys once a year for this, I'll be happy with it. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You got our information. You guys have a good rest of your night, and
Absolutely.
enjoy the rest of your summer.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you.
Okay. We are moving on to item number, we don't need to vote on that. Do we need a vote on that? Yeah. Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve the audit that was presented from Lauterbach and Amon.
Second.
Any further discussion needed? Eric, can you do a roll call?
Commissioner Brown,
All right.
Commissioner Hartman,
all right.
Commissioner Rivers, Commissioner Pye,
Aye.
President McGarrett.
Aye. Moving on then to the director's report.
Just a few things I wanted to point out, just so you guys are aware. We are working with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources to have a fishing derby, free fishing derby on September 25th at Shiloh Park Lagoon. So they're taking registration, the DNR is actually taking the registration. They're bringing out their trailer with fishing equipment. They're bringing out prizes. They have paid for food for the families that come that day. So really looking forward to a nice day on that. If you want to come out, it starts at 10, but there's going to be 2 sessions. So there's going to be a 10 o'clock session and a noon session, right?
So there's no license required for that?
Nope.
Not for the kids.
Okay,
Remember DNR's there.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
yeah. This Saturday, Kay is doing the annual beach cleanup at Hosa Park, which is part of the Great Lakes Initiative. So there are groups all over the Great Lakes that are cleaning up their beaches this Saturday. So that's in the morning. And generally we have a pretty decent sized group that comes out and helps us clean up the beach there. At the same time, our steward at Hosa Park, Kathy Garnis, is doing a art workshop, connecting nature art. She got a grant through the Nature Conservancy of Illinois, and we partnered with Central Junior High, and there's 9 of the students from Central that are actually coming to be part of this. The Conservancy gave her enough funds to buy art supplies that each person who's participating will get to take home with them. And they are providing lunch also. So that should be a really exciting, I think, interesting group. And it's awesome that she is going to share her artistic abilities, because she's an excellent artist and she knows how to engage people in nature art. So it should be really, really good. Also, it seems like we came up with everything for the same day. We're having an open house here and an open house at Herman Park to celebrate our sports and fitness at both facilities. So here, 8 to noon, and giving people tours and, just just encouraging people to come in and find out what we have going on. And then at Herman Park from noon to 7. So if you want to stop by either one of those locations, you'd be welcome to do that. It is the 13th anniversary in September for this building. So they're doing a special. I put that in your packet. And then the next special event after the fishing derby is the Halloween Trail of Treats, which we will be doing a drive-through Trail of Treats this year again. That was very successful last year. Got a lot of people through it. I'm glad that we decided to keep it a drive-through. It just makes it easier. We don't have to pivot like we did last year. So it makes sense to do that. So lots of stuff coming up, lots of, cool activities, I think, in the community. I hear a lot of times that we don't have anything for people to do in our community, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that there is a lot of stuff going on. So those are the things I wanted to highlight. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 10, new business, resolution 889.
So this is the resolution to authorize the transfer of funds. So Shiloh Golf Fund is sitting on a surplus of revenue, and so we are going to transfer $50,000 as we did last year. So that's a good thing, Our golf operations, Shepherd's does absorb a lot of costs for our running our Shiloh golf course. It helps us to keep those costs for running the course down. So this is just to kind of transfer that back when we have excess funds there. And then we do have budgeted $74,000 for the recreation to transfer into pool. We're going to do $50,000 right now, and then we'll see where we end up over the course of the year. We probably will have to add more in the spring just because those carrying costs over the winter. There are some expenses that are tied to the pool, but we'll see where we end up at the end of the fiscal year. So we're going to transfer $50,000 right now.
Any question? Okay, I'm going to entertain a motion for resolution 889.
So, wait. So you're gonna take $50,000 out of Shiloh and Shepherd to transfer to the pool? Is that on this?
No, we're transferring $50,000 from Shiloh Golf to Shepherd's Golf, and $50,000 from recreation to the pool.
Okay.
It's on
two
page
separate. It's
Yeah,
two separate.
I see it.
Yeah, it's on page
Okay.
60.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 889, transferring funds from Shiloh Golf Course to Shepherd's Crook and from recreation funds to the pool fund of $50,000
Each. For both.
for both. Yep.
Was that correct? Do you need, okay.
I'll
Have a
second.
Any additional discussion needed? Okay, Eric, can you do the?
Commissioner Pye,
Aye.
Commissioner Rivers,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Hartman,
Aye.
President McGarrett.
Aye. And now we are going to go into executive session, so I'm going to entertain a motion to put us into executive session.
So I entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of the board discussing employment, comprehensive discipline, performance, or dismissal of employees pursuant to Section 2C1 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act.
I second that.
Any discussion needed? Eric?
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Rivers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hartman,
Aye.
Commissioner Pye,
Aye.
President McGarrett.
Aye.